Welcome to the 53rd Arbuckle Award celebration. I'd especially like to welcome tonight's honoree, Ken Hirsch, and his friends and family members. Ken arrived at the GSB along with actually many people in this tent tonight in 1987. He came from Texas by way of Princeton and Morgan Stanley. At the GSB, he was an R.J. Miller Scholar. All of you who are students, take note. And it was at the GSB that he met another former Arbuckle Award winner and a member of the MBA class of 1968, Richard Rainwater. And Richard, as many of you know, was had a tremendous eye for talent. And it was along with Richard and a few others that Ken founded Natural Gas Partners and really pioneered a whole new era of private equity investing. And that, of course, was only the first chapter in Ken's leadership. He went on, after stepping down as CEO of NGP, to be the CEO of the Bush Presidential Library. And in that role, he's made an enormous contribution to this country in fulfilling the library's vision of education and engagement to create opportunity and strengthen democracy and to advance freedom around the world. During the pandemic, I asked Ken if he would join a task force that I was assembling to think about the intersection of business, government, and society and the changing landscape for business leaders in the current environment. And Ken had a consistent and important message in those meetings, which was all about the GSB's responsibility to develop leaders who would be open-minded, who would welcome opposing views, who would be fundamentally curious, not judgmental, when confronting different perspectives, and about the role that the school can and had to play in preparing students for leadership in a world that was increasingly polarized.
But when I think of Ken, I think of someone who's built an amazing business, who's led an amazing family. And actually, John asked a few people to stand up tonight, but I just am curious, how many of you came in from Texas for this evening? Would you all stand up? Stand. Yeah. And that's a pretty amazing legacy to make the trip to be out here for this event.
He put together the business template of what became Natural Gas Partners in his summer job. And during his second year, while he was a full-time student, he became a co-founder of NGP. This is while he was a student. During his time as the managing partner at NGP, the firm, and Ken always emphasized the firm, achieved a 30% compounded rate of return over 27 years, in spite of some pretty wild oil and gas price gyrations, which happen all the time. Ken and his partners were pace setters in establishing leadership principles and creative financial structures in the highly competitive private equity energy business. More importantly, with the emphasis on the firm, they created a culture of transparency and teamwork and consciously overshared equity. Not surprisingly, there was virtually no turnover. With pleasure, I am honored to introduce the outstanding Arbuckle Award winner of 2023, Ken Hirsch.
Before we get started, I want to thank Dean Levin and Derek and the incredible team here at Stanford and the Arbuckle family, as well as the past honorees. Being on the same list as you all is very humbling. And I want to thank Bob Jeffy. You've known me a long time. You were my boss's boss's boss in my first job out of college in 1985. You were old then. No, sorry, that's a different speech. I ran numbers for you. I put them into presentations. I collated them. I delivered them to you. And thankfully, you rarely checked my work. And I really appreciated your trust. Really, it meant something to me, and I felt good. I said, wow, he's not even really checking this. In fact, it was that trust that allowed me to proudly present you with a pitch deck right before a big meeting not for a client's initial public offering, but rather in a time before spell check and grammar check, a bold-faced pitch for an initial pubic offering. A lesson in proofreading that I will never forget. Thanks for not firing me on the spot. Those who are here who worked for me now know where my incredible angst about proofreading came from. You know who you are. Then some 20 years later, I tried to hire you, Bob, twice, and you turned me down. And so those are lessons to all the students here. Keep an eye on your next boss because he or she may make a great employee someday. And as to the many folks who used to work for me, as you go build your empires, please don't forget about me. I'm still around. When Dean Levin called me about this, I was flabbergasted, to put it mildly. It's not something that I would have even put my name out there for. In fact, I think if you threw a dart in this tent, you could find many honorees. And I was speechless. And for those closest to me, you know how not normal that is. And in short, I really think that I have lived by a very simple concept. In life, there's only one gear, forward, no neutral, and definitely not reverse. I made a living investing in a very capital-intensive business that has been defined by booms and busts, and yet my partners and I persevered and created a methodology that took a lot of that volatility out of the business, and in so doing had a part in changing the world, helping to finance a part of the unconventional shale revolution. Kind of amazing for some Stanford liberal arts guys with an MBA. I strive to make my community better by being a contributor, not a bystander, a connector instead of a divider, and always a resource to help when I can. I want to leave the world a better place than when I found it. And I realized a few years ago that there was more to life than energy private equity. Imagine that. I hope that I can inspire others to keep moving forward and who might have otherwise stalled out. And I hope that I have made Stanford a better place than I found it. Longtime performer Danny Kaye said that life is a big canvas and you should throw all the paint on it you can. I never feel like I've done enough paint throwing, but for now, this will have to suffice. I am humbled and honored by all of you tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.